Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Tech Guys Who Invest. One of the things Kevin and I love about this show is talking to people who listen to the show and enjoy it. So, we've talked to a few people recently who like the show and they've been educating themselves and they have the itch to invest. Up to this point, they haven't invested in real estate, but they've been following pretty typical American behavior by financial standards, meaning they're these people for the most part are high earners, but they have consumer debt, credit cards in most cases, car payments. Some are even leases on cars, which are even worse. Um, Student loans in a lot of cases, and they have expensive spending habits. So from that place, where do you begin? And that's where we start today's show.
Right. So if I'm thinking about, I'm in those shoes, where do I start? If I am going to figure out how to invest, I need to know and formulate what I want investing to do for me. That I think is the biggest thing people are missing out on, because you'll hear people talk about returns, or I made this much money, and that all sounds great. If you have started investing and you're hearing people make double digit returns, that's fantastic. There's a lot to be said about risk in that, which we'll cover as well. But what do you want the investing to do for you? Maybe you absolutely love your job, but you want to find a way to build generational wealth for your family and their family's family in the future. Or you want it to pay for all your bills. Whatever that is, you need to sit down and think about the lifestyle that you want to attain through investing, because you cannot save your way to financial freedom or financial security for that matter also.
Yeah, I really like that advice. It's excellent advice to start with some goal setting and just clarifying what you want. That's fantastic advice. And like Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. So taking a little time to do that. Now, Kevin and I are going to talk about educating yourself financially because we talk about that all the time. I feel like that's something that you can do along the way while you're kind of cleaning up the mess, so to speak. Begin educating while you're doing some of the things that Kevin and I are talking about. And these are our ideas of things that either we've done or we've had experience with uh, through people we know that have been successful in doing this and getting to a place where they are investing successfully. For me, one of the first things to do is really list your debts out and order them smallest to largest, and then begin what Dave Ramsey calls the debt snowball, where you make minimum payments on everything, and then every additional dollar you can scrounge up, you throw against the smallest one. And in the meantime, what you're doing is cutting back on the extravagant spending on things that Robert Kiyosaki might call doodads.
Yeah. And as far as the debts, right now, the mortgage rates are so low, historic lows. So if you have that low interest rate, and let's say even if you refinance to get that low interest rate, instead of maybe thinking about paying it down faster and being debt free, what if, and this is just a scenario, it might work for you, it might not, you find an investment that pays 6%, 7%, maybe 8%, or whatever it may be. So now you have a spread that instead of that 3% that you were paying and to get rid of that debt faster, you've created a spread of 5% if it's assuming 8% interest or return on your money. So thinking about it from that perspective is another way to look at it. Personally, if I had a mortgage, I don't see myself paying it down faster, because I believe that I can get a greater return on the amount of money greater than even 4%.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a mortgage, and not only am I not paying it down, I'm doing a refi right now to pull equity out so I can invest that. And the money I make on the investment will greatly exceed the additional increase in monthly payment on my mortgage. But I love Kevin's idea about looking at the interest rates and taking those low ones and considering investing the money to achieve a spread so that you can more than pay for the debt itself and actually earn some money on it. And then with the additional money you're making on that, you can apply it back towards those smallest debts. So, like what I was talking about with the debt snowball, where you list your debts out, smallest to largest, and you start picking off the small one. Well, once that's finally paid off, you take the money you were paying on that one and apply it to the next one, and you pay that off. And once that's paid off, you apply it to the next one until you get through them. So what Kevin's talking about is a really nice, a little more sophisticated strategy where you can also consider the interest rate. And if you can make more money by investing what you would otherwise be using to pay it off, then you can take that additional money and apply it into the debt snowball in the order I was just describing.
So it's like two snowballs there. It's like double momentum.
Exactly. It's like pushing that thing faster or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. And as far as where to start, thinking about your risk profile. If you are a risky individual and you can tolerate a ton of risk, that's great. Good for you. Like that's not me. I don't think that's Adam either. We're more risk averse individuals, but you have to define that for yourself. Because I can tell you that you're going to find a rock star in every asset class in real estate investing, and they will talk about all the good things about it. But asking yourself and being comfortable with the risk profile that you are establishing is huge. What's risky to you? A double digit return sounds fantastic, but generally speaking, the higher the return, the higher the risk. So starting there also, knowing what you think you are most comfortable with when it comes to investing your hard-earned money.
That's a good point. One other point that I think is really important is to make sure you have an emergency savings amount saved up. Most people don't. And it's very important to have some special reserve saved up in case of emergencies. Because if you don't, life can come at you fast and unexpectedly. And that can really impact and disrupt your plan for achieving financial freedom or whatever your goals are. So, as part of this, I would say, even before you start paying off using that debt snowball, tuck away some money for an emergency savings and then start on the debt snowball. And when you get more and more of those debts paid off, then you can increase that emergency savings to the appropriate amount, like that 3 to 6 month sweet spot that most people should have.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. Having it available to in liquid, right? Not just stored away in stocks where you have to take it out, something like that. That's an important thing. Having that, and that's part of the risk too, right? You don't want to invest absolutely everything you have. I don't generally speaking, I don't think that's a good idea to invest every single last dollar you have in an investment, because it's too risky. If that goes sideways, which there are possibilities that it can with any investment, what happens then? All your hard-earned money is lost.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's really important to maintain a buffer, to maintain reserves, even in properties you have, like with rental properties. It's very important that you retain reserves in those. So, um, that's what we wanted to talk about with you guys here today. And we hope that this has been informative and interesting. We'd love to hear more of your stories. Thanks to those who have been reaching out to us. It's really great to hear from our listeners. Kevin and I like to talk to you guys. So reach out to us. You can email us at techguyswhoinvest@gmail.com, or you can visit us on our website, tgwipodcast.com. Thanks, everybody.